Welcome to Business Coaching Secrets with Karl Bryan. If you want to attract new high-end coaching clients, fill live events, and build a wildly profitable coaching practice where business owners pay, stay, and refer, you've come to the right place. In this podcast, Karl provides his keys to the kingdom for finding and signing high-paying clients and building the coaching business of your dreams. Here we go.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Business Coaching Secrets. It's your boy Road Dogg here with none other than, holy smokes, tongue twister this morning. I don't know why. Man up the hill, the king, Karl Bryan.
Yo-ho-ho, Road Dogg. How goes it, my brother?
I'm hoping you're in better shape than I am today, obviously. Holy smokes. I guess
I'm gonna carry the flag for us today, bud. Don't you worry, man. You twist that tongue around, dude, and I'll take it from here. Don't you worry about that.
All right. Well, with that, I obviously have no ability for small chit chat today. I'm sure I'll chime in on the occasional just to, what I do best, and that is hold your feet to the fire and make fun of you for, for the person that you are. But anyways, on that note, we've had a discussion lately. Obviously, there's a lot social media, man, like talk about a game where everybody wants to play. And we got a good question here that says, how do I get more activity on social media? And I thought, I got to bump this to the top of the list here because this is clearly something that is on everybody's mind, especially right now. So what are your thoughts, Karl? How do I get more activity on social media?
How do I get more? So first of all, the question is, because you just said it, right? It's that it's sexy and delusional. Do you want it is the first question. You got to come back. First principle is what? The goal is to make sales. And we all see this online, and everybody, the dopamine and everything that comes with the shares and the comments and the likes and everything else. Be careful with that one. Help your clients be careful with that one. But yeah, the goal is to make sales. So calendar, if you're going to do it though, and you're probably going to do it because everybody's doing it, what the hell? So calendar it. Make sure that you're not spending an enormous amount of time, like it's 30 minutes in the morning and then out. And then it's 45 minutes in the afternoon, and then it's out. Otherwise, again, you're going to sit there scrolling through Facebook, scrolling through Instagram, or whatever else LinkedIn, whatever your drug is. So be careful with that one. Make sure that you need to follow, and you need to be followed by your target audience. I think, again, this is where, and sure, friends and family and all that stuff, but what we're talking about here is getting coaching clients, no doubt. Like you're not just looking for activity online, you're looking to get the first principle, which is sales. So make sure that you're spending time researching who you should be following, as in local business owners, and get them following you and you get following them. Now, if you want to double your engagement, which really should be a goal of yours, because the more engagement that you get, the more activity you're going to get, which is going to lead to sales. What you got to do, triple your activity and you'll double your engagement. The problem is folks, they meander around Facebook and whatnot, and they don't want to like anything and they don't want to comment on anything. And really, if you think about it, if you bring it down, it's people, insecure about what people are going to think, with their comment, that sort of stuff. Value online, you guys hear me say this all the time, but you hear me say it right now, but value comes in two forms: education and entertainment. Okay, so people want to be educated, but they'd rather be entertained. So again, if you can do things in an entertaining way, that is going to, that's going to help you, especially, and these are more, even when you're doing a live event, right? Like, again, people want to be educated, but they want to be entertained. And if you want an example of this, just go to a Tony Robbins event. You'll see that it's like a rock concert. There's a reason behind that. So make sure that when people are coming to your events, they're getting entertained, but also, so when you're online, this is how you also do it, be educational, be entertaining. How do you do that? Like, standing against something is going to get you more attention than standing for. Often you'll see me on Facebook, I'll just put 2-word replies, somebody does something cool, I'll say, "You're dangerous." Somebody says something that I agree with, I go, "The end, period." And then what you find is that people they see that, and that there's a level of confidence and maybe even arrogance. I don't know. It doesn't really, it just is what it is. You're not there to, you don't spend an enormous amount of time, but just by doing that, I find that people see you just agree with something and go the end, or, like just something, out there and a little bit more, a confident type stance. You'll find that people will end up visiting your profile. And then again, this can lead to more friends in your target audience and more followers in your target audience, which can lead to the ultimate goal, which is clients. But so standing against versus just standing for, that is definitely a way to get more activity online. And now also, look, if you really think about it, go three things. You want to have good content, okay, which is obvious. Just think of a blog post, an educational post that teaches business owners about X, Y, Z, how to upsell, how to downsell, how to cross-sell, how to put together a proper upfront offer, how to build a headline for your website, right? Okay, so you got to have good content. You got to put it in popular places. Okay, so that's going to be Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, etc. And then you have to do it consistently, right? So like once a day, 3 times a day, once a week at an absolute minimum. So you just got to do it consistently. So that would be an example. But good content, popular places, consistently, thinking about that. But make sure you're managing those times. Like you're going to calendar it. Don't spend an hour and a half just farting through social media, looking at what everybody's up to, debating whether or not Trump is the greatest or the worst guy on the planet. It's ridiculous, right? And you want to link back, like another powerful thing to do is you want, like, what is the goal? And you want to be building a list as well. You want to be making sales, but you also want to be creating a list. So my goal, like when I'm active on social media, my goal is always to get people onto my list, like the end. And then why? Because now I'm controlling it. I don't want, if Facebook shut down tomorrow, and I know it's not going to, and Instagram isn't going anywhere, nor is LinkedIn, but you don't know what the future holds, and I want to control that. And the way you do is you build a list, like basically an email list. At an absolute minimum, you want to get them following you on things like, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Instagram. But really what you want to be doing is putting them on your list. And just make sure you're not farting around, spending a bunch of time, discussing whether or not, the Republicans or the Democrats are going to win the next election. Like, just when you see that kind of stuff, you need to follow people that inspire you. You got to follow people that, that give you energy, don't take it away from you. Just be really careful with that. And I don't know. You talk about the dopamine of getting all these likes and shares and whatnot, and you put that political post up, and all of a sudden you get, you're only used to getting 3 or 4 comments, and you're getting 30, or you're used to getting 30, and now you're getting 300. Be real careful with that one, because remember, the first principle is getting sales, and that's going to do the opposite. It's going to create a whole bunch of, it's going to suck the lifetime and energy out of you, and it's not going to get you the sales. Don't do it. But at the end of the day, if you want to get activity on social media, if I brought that all back, Road Dog, double your activity, or triple your activity, and you'll double your engagement. This will be a good thing. And the goal is to build a list and make sales. So don't come away from that. But that's the way I do it, man. Right there, I guess, bud.
Well, if you post one more picture of Justin Trudeau's hair, I swear to God, Karl.
Yeah, you wish, but he's a good-looking man. He's a horrific leader, but he is a good-looking man. So there you go. That's our leader.
On that note, don't discuss politics. It's so easy, though, dude, to get sucked into that rabbit hole. The only thing I'll say is this: you're only going to divide far more, and I understand you've got to take your stance. Take your stance where it counts. Don't take your stance on stuff that's not going to get you paid. Because that's so ridiculous.
But I agree with that. But an example of taking a stance, Road Dog, is like if you see my page, like I'll stand against, like, say, multiple streams of income, right? Like multiple streams of income is a great way to sell you books and programs. It's a horrific way to make money. The end, right? Unless if you don't have one business doing $5 million a year, do not talk to me. Do not touch. Do not smell. Do not look at something called multiple streams of income, or you're just kidding yourself. All you're doing is just chasing a second rabbit, and good luck with that one. But there's something to stand against versus whether or not Trump's a fabulous guy or that we like Trudeau's hair. You know what I mean? So,
well, and again, it speaks to your audience in terms of what they're after. So just know your audience, know who your clients are, and take a stand. And you're going to get haters, and that's a good thing because it means it's working. So
yeah, there you go. This is true.
Speaking of haters, I don't know where that's a horrible pivot. All right, what's the next? What are we looking for here? I'm looking to drive traffic online. Here we go. Back to the online stuff, dude. It is popular. Almost as popular as Carl in high school. All right, I'm looking to drive traffic online for my coaching. Any specific ideas on what my squeeze page should look like? There is a fantastic question. I can't wait to hear your answer, Carl.
Okay. Okay, so what should my squeeze page look like? Well, I tell you, I don't know, squeeze page, that might intimate that you're worried about design and the length and that sort of stuff. I'll just tell you this, that the design of it isn't really going to matter. It's the words on the page that matters. When I'm building a squeeze page, the first thing, I've built many of them, and I've built, many, a membership site. When I first got started in coaching, so I built a membership site. I think we talked about this recently, but totally relevant here. If you're going to build a squeeze page, you've got to have what you call a hook. You've got to have a way to hook them in. So the first membership site that I had was how I earned $187,000 in my first 9 months online as a coach. Okay, so there's my hook, and that's what matters. That's what's going to hook them in, clearly. And I plugged a couple hundred people into membership sites paying $97 a month and built a list of about 10,000 coaches. I then realized I had a list of 10,000 coaches that a couple hundred bought. I thought, well, I got to try sell to the other thousands that didn't. So I built another membership. So I did a survey looking at exactly what it is that they were looking for, and then I established what they're looking for is generating leads online. So I did how I generated 250 hot new coaching leads in 90 days using Google, and that was another membership site. And then I plugged in about 300 folks doing that. So that was the second hook. If you guys follow me or any of our coaches in any way, shape, or form, you probably recognize this one, but I can find any business owner $100,000 in 45 minutes without them spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising. Okay, so it's exactly like somebody becomes a new coach in our organization. The first thing we do is train them on exactly how to do that. And then, of course, we built software to back it up. To provide the implementation, etc. The bottom line is that the hook is that you're going to find them $100,000 in 45 minutes without them spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising. In fact, back in the day, I used to do live events where I guaranteed, and I was a pretty young guy, by the way, and believe me, the first time I did this, I pooped my pants. But anyways, I guaranteed to solve any marketing problem on the spot. And I just shamelessly stolen straight from Tony Robbins, where he solved his first few events, he solved any phobia on the spot. So I just solved any marketing problem on the spot. And I had some pretty smart people in the room. I was like, holy cow, I might get trumped here and look pretty stupid, but what the heck? But it worked very well. It got me going, built me a team of coaches, and I was off to the races. So what am I getting at, though? Those hooks all fundamentally run off the same template. How I earned $187,000 in my first 9 months online as a coach, how I generated 250 hot new coaching leads in 90 days using Google, and then I can find any business owner $100,000 in 45 minutes without them spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising. So what's important is you're going to build you're going to build a landing page. What they say, a squeeze page or landing page. Squeeze page, the reason it's called a squeeze page is the only thing on it is the ability to put in an email address or X and leave. Okay, that's what's important. You don't have testimonials. You don't have about us. You don't have XYZ. You've got the ability for them to put their email address to build your list, what we were talking about earlier, because that's the goal, or do nothing. So this is why you call it a squeeze page. But I'd come back to this. So you want to drive traffic on the internet, and the question is why? Right? What is the goal? You've always got to come back to that. And remember, you've only got time. In fact, we talked about this last week. You got to be very, very cautious of your focus because you've only got so much of it, right? So like as a business coach, you can only take on 20 clients at a time, right? So my question for this coach would be, is this really what you want to be doing? Because when you can only take on 20 clients, you drove if you know anything about driving traffic on the internet and building a landing page and, a squeeze page, if you're only taking on 20 clients, you're going to get those 20 clients pretty quick. So but it's not that easy. It can, it sounds really easy driving traffic on the internet and whatnot. It takes an enormous amount of time, an enormous amount of, focus. You've got to put together the landing page, the drip campaign, a guided tour, videos on the internet, etc. would your time be better spent going and establishing a relationship with the accountant, the business broker, the networking organization, the Chamber of Commerce, the girls who sell the memberships at the Chamber of Commerce, the guys who run the BNI groups, etc., where they can just send you 3 at a time on a test drive basis? I would ask that because, and again, we talked about last week, being very, very protective of your time. In fact, we get a lot of feedback, Road Dog, from, I was talking about picking up dog crap, right? It's like, how the hell you talk about picking up dog crap while you're talking about getting coaching clients? But the nuts and bolts is there's only so much time in the day. When you think about how much time you spend working out what it is that you're going to eat, preparing the food, eating the food, cleaning up the dishes, doing the dishes, cleaning up afterwards, like it's just unbelievable. So if you took the time, during, at the beginning of a week to set up a preparation for the rest of the week on exactly what you're going to eat, where you're going to get it from, who's going to clean it up, et cetera. Like if you had everything lined up, the amount of time and focus you could save yourself in a given week would just blow your mind. So the question is, you ask yourself before you take on any task, where I believe that this isn't everyone, this isn't a black and white, this is gray, but it's pretty damn good. Whenever you go to do something, just ask yourself, does it make tomorrow easier? And this is with bigger things rather than, just picking up the dog crap, which has to be done on an as-need basis, right? But example, I do a daily email. So if I sat down and I wrote 4 or 5 emails at a time, would that make tomorrow easier? And the answer is absolutely. Okay, this is an effective use of my time. If I go to Facebook and I'm going to debate with somebody whether or not Trump is the greatest or the worst guy on the planet, is that going to make tomorrow easier? And it's going to be the opposite. What's going to happen, because I'm going to get a bunch of comments and a bunch of abuse one way or the other, by the way, right? Because it's coming either way. And then we can do Donald, Trudeau, our fearless leader, right, with the beautiful hair and the Lululemon pants, right? So we could deliberate back and forth on him. Like, is that going to make my easier tomorrow? And the answer is absolutely not, because again, it's going to suck a bunch of time and energy out of me, and you've only got so much focus. You've only got so much time. And remember, billionaires have got the exact same amount of hours and days in the week as you do. And the magic is that they are just that much more focused, that much more dialed in. This is why Jeff Bezos wears the same thing every day. Zuckerberg wears the same thing every day. Steve Jobs wore the same thing every day, right? Because they don't want to be thinking about which underwear they're going to choose today. It's just not an effective use of your focus. They want to be thinking about, the game plan, bigger question. So does it make tomorrow easier? Again, creating a Q&A page on your website, it's challenging. It takes some time. It takes some focus. But is it going to make tomorrow easier? Well, when you get an email and you can just point them towards the video on your Q&A page or the answer on your Q&A page because you get them consistently, totally, right? It's a stupid example. Go back to dogs, but like my wife's away. So my dogs, my dogs are a little bit older and they zip around the house and they got pee pads. We put pee pads down in the laundry room. So if they have to take a piss during the day, right, they can just go in there and let rip and we don't have to let them out to do. Not that we don't walk our dogs, by the way. I don't want that to be, it's not like, believe me, the 2 most spoiled dogs ever slept in my bed last night, put them in perspective. But anyway, but I putting the pee pads down, right? Like again, I got to pick up the pee pads and then I got to put the pee pads down. Like if I put the pee pads down and they pee on the pee pad versus I don't put it down, where do they pee? On the floor. Which one is going to make my, the rest of my day and tomorrow easier? Definitely putting the pee pads down. So, and remember, you can only take on 20 clients. So I would hazard, I would challenge you a little bit, ask you the question, like, what is the best, what's the best use of your time here right now? And going and building a relationship with joint venture partners and whatnot, debatably could be it. Or, running your own local live event can be a fantastic way to get really good clients. If I were to start coaching again tomorrow, talked about this many times over the past, and I'll do it in the future, I would follow. We have a program called Live Event Mastery. I would want 2 things. I would want a membership site because 7 out of 10 people are broke. So I need a downsell. So I would need a membership site. And the second thing that I would do is I would follow Live Event Mastery, which is just simply a program where you put 10 people in a room at a time. And the reason why I would do that versus drive traffic if I was a business coach, because the quality of the client that I will get, and frankly, the preeminence that's automatic when they come and they see me on stage, and there's 5 to 10, 5 to 25 people in a room, and they're all taking notes as I talk. There's a level of preeminence there. So I'm establishing the relationship in the right way where I'm guiding them and then they're listening. So as long as we get some runs on the board early, I've got total control of this relationship, and I'm going to have a long-standing client that's going to pay me my approximately $2,000 a month for many months and go. So anyways, Road Dog, that's what I'd say to that one, man. Make sure you be very, very dialed in. The last two questions: social media, driving traffic, squeeze pages. Be really, really dialed in. You got X amount of focus, and use it and protect it big time, the way the big dogs do. So there you go, bud.
So there you go, folks. Get your online PPAD. This is I
we could sell those, Road Dog. There could be a market there, bud.
Listen, bud, it's so crazy. Like I spend a lot of time in the digital space, and I can quite honestly tell you with 100% certainty and honesty, I have never once heard anyone make reference to a squeeze page as a PPAD reference. That's unreal.
We're breaking ground here, Big Shoots. We got this, man.
Holy smokes. Dog poop making a comeback. Here it is, 2 weeks in a row, folks. Can he make it 3? Stay tuned in the next episode.
Tune in next week. We'll
see what happens. You never know. You never know. We might go back to cross-dressing or what was the on for? Anyways, see, you never know what you're going to get. This is business coaching.
Pick up crap while cross-dressing, Road Dog. This could be, dude.
Okay.
You video it. You video it, mate. We could make millions, bud.
The train is definitely off the tracks. I'm going to go ahead and try and put it back on. The task that I have some days it's easier than others, Carl. I got to be perfectly honest with you, but this path that we're heading down right now. Okay, PPAD time. This is more me than you, because if you call yourself an introvert, you are definitely not an introvert. And anybody that's ever attended the annual conference with Carl knows pretty darn well that you are anything but an introvert. But anyways, as much as you try to claim you are, the question here is, I'm an introvert in what feels like an extroverted coaching world. Any advice for an introvert trying to put themselves out there?
Okay. Well, I'm an extrovert, but I like my alone time. I'll give you the red hot tip. I tell you, actually, I heard introverts and extroverts described this way, and I thought it was gold. An introvert is someone who wakes up with 5 gold coins, and then throughout the day, as they meet people and they speak with people, they have to give them away, right? And once they exhaust their 5 coins, they're done for the day. Whereas an extrovert wakes up with no gold coins, and we have to run around and we have to collect them, right? And the more people we speak to and the more crowds that we get into, the more gold coins we end up with, and the more, the happier we are, and the more our day can continue. So I thought that was pretty, that's about spot on. So thinking about that, look, here's the question. Is that the real problem, right? Because I would challenge you to really, you're an introvert. Is that your problem? What is Einstein was quoted as saying, if I had to solve, if I had 1 hour to save the world, what did he say? I'd spend it was 55 minutes defining the problem, and then 5 minutes, saving the world. So you get the idea. So you got 60 minutes to solve something, 55 minutes defining the problem, and then 5 minutes solving it. I would dare say that this is an example of a problem very poorly defined. And I could be wrong, by the way, which I'm happy to be. But I would say that you go a lot deeper than that. And if you introduce me to a coach who lacks leads and clients, I'll introduce you. Actually, no, if you introduce me to a client or a business coach who is lacking lead generation, I will introduce you to a business coach who lacks confidence. Okay. So that's what you really got to, dial down on. Really define this problem at the highest level. And if you want to know how to do that, just ask yourself why 7 times. So you ask yourself the question, then you go why, and then you're going to go a little bit deeper, and then you go why again. And of course, if someone else does this with you, right, like a psychiatrist, you don't need to take it to that level. But anyway, but you go why, you go 7 levels deep, you're going to end up with the answer. And ultimately what you're looking for, right, is happiness, balance, freedom, that sort of stuff, right? Normally comes down to happiness. So you've just defined this problem at a higher level. And I think if you go a little bit deeper by asking why, you're going to get yourself to a significantly better place, a la Einstein. This isn't my advice. That's Albert Einstein, probably somebody we should all listen to. So I just, and it probably comes down to confidence to a degree. And what you're doing is you're using your introverted nature as a way to get away with, continuing to have a lack of confidence. So, like an example, I just finished a 4-day cleanse, and I got another. I've done these. Tim Ferriss says you should do and I love Tim Ferriss, by the way. I hope you guys do. I think he's great. But anyway, so he says that you should do a 3-day fast every month. Very good health-wise and whatnot. What I personally find, and there's no doubt that my diet is not fantastic. So I just find that my head, like right now, my head is so clear. That might be surprising as we sit here and talk about dog shit and pee pads and all that sort of stuff, but whatever. So I find that my mind is just super duper clear. And it just feels good. But how do I get through it? First of all, it's a lot easier now than it was, the first time I did it was a real battle. Now I've done it a number of times and I sort of sailed through, and I'm kind of 7 days into it. I finished I didn't do 3 days. I did 4 days because I wanted to push myself a little more than I had in the past. And what I did is the same thing that I did last time, but instead of making some grandiose plan, and it wasn't well thought out, like I literally just thought about it. My wife asked me, "Are you hungry?" I said, "No, I haven't eaten." She didn't even realize because she was out the night before. So like I was 2 days into it. She hadn't even realized, right? So the nuts and bolts, I wasn't well thought out. What I did is I went to my phone and I wrote a list of reasons why I wanted to follow through on the fast. Things like I've got a 7-year-old daughter. I want to be at her wedding one day. Not only do I want to be at her wedding, but I want to dance at her wedding. When I don't want to only dance at her wedding, but I want to be, I want to actually have my bearings and a little bit of, a little bit. I want to have my bearings, right? I want to have a little bit of agility about me. And I believe that fasting is a way to potentially accelerate or increase my ability to get there. A bunch of other reasons why, health-wise and mental toughness. Like I pride myself on having some mental toughness. I've got a lot of coaches, right, that follow me and that sort of stuff. So I want to make sure that I'm showing my family mental toughness, my friends mental toughness, my clients mental toughness, etc. So that's a reason. Bottom line, guys, without going into it, I've got a list of my reasons. And by the way, I did the exact same thing last time. So what did I do? I just revisited the list, but then I went through it again. I made a couple more, pretty strong ones, and I put those towards the top. And when I thought about quitting, and believe me, on day 2, the morning of day 3, I'm like, come on, man, this is stupid, right? Does this really matter? Is this really going to, just that story inside your head takes over? And I just open up my phone and I have a look at my notes and I have a look at the reasons why I got to follow through. And it's real simple, and that keeps me going. So how is that going to help you? Make the list of reasons why you're going to make $250,000 this year with your coaching business. Rather than make an elaborate plan and, really sexy plan, with the squeeze pages and the landing pages and social media, make a list of the reasons why you've got to follow through, like your kids, and setting an example on a legacy, and then the suicides and the depression and the separations and the stepdaddies and stepmummies the kids don't want to meet. Like, make a list of those reasons. Like, you've got to make it about them more than you, but also make some of the list, the list about you as well. But I think that will really get you a lot further. And I'm comfortable saying, and again, this is, black and white statement for a very gray matter, but I think that you're going to find that magically being an introvert is going to become completely irrelevant. Or another reason, I've said this many times, but, write down 50 ways that you were going to help X, a plumbing company, a butcher, baker, candlestick maker, the restaurant. You guys want an example? Just Google my name and restaurant case study or something along those lines, and you're going to see a couple of emails that I wrote, a 2-part email where I wrote down, and I don't even know what it was, but let's assume it was 25 to 50 ways that I would help a restaurant grow. Well, write down 50 ways that you were going to help a restaurant grow. And then magically tomorrow you are going to wake up and you are going to be incredibly excited and 10 times more motivated to get in front of that restaurant business owner, because you're going to feel like, I'm going to really change this person's life, because that's ultimately what really will launch your business coaching career. It's not about you. It's not about making $100,000 a year, that crap, right? It's not about your RV and being able to, tour and work in Mexico, which all of that is relevant. But if you make it about them versus about you, you just multiply. It's a force multiplier. It will multiply your enthusiasm, your intestinal fortitude, big time, and that's what's going to help you pick up the phone and send out the messages and ultimately get on the phone and in front of those business owners. So yeah, just that's what I'd say. Now you're an introvert, though. Look, travel in smaller groups instead of putting together a group of 50. Put together a group of 5. Like we've got a client. She will be listening to this, I would imagine. But Catalina, she's a bit of a mover and a shaker. I said, look, she's got a very outgoing personality. We just, blah, blah, blah. We talked a little bit and I'm like, look, here's what you've got to do because you've got to go to your strengths. She is an extrovert big time, right? And I'm like, put together an event. Well, she put together her first event. Her biggest problem, she can't find a venue to be able to handle it, especially, and by the way, we got all these restrictions and whatnot. She got 100 people pre-booked for her first event. She hasn't even done the first event. She has 100 people. I'm like, holy smokes, like maybe you think that's not a bad idea? But the bottom line is she just went to her strength, right? But that would horrify somebody who's going to send in a question like this. So just put together a little, so I'm not going to recommend the same roadmap for you. I'm going to say, go find yourself a meeting room with a table that fits 4 people. Put 5 people around it. When you have a table of 4 and you put 5 people around it, it feels crowded. That's important, right? Really important. You've got to feel crowded and do that. So smaller groups. And then, spend your time, just spend your time defining the problem is the advice that I would give. And remember, let's go back to first principles. It's not about introvert, extrovert. It's not this, it's that. It's about getting 20 coaching clients paying you, this is approximates here, but 20 clients paying you $2,000 a month. That's $240,000 of gross income. You're going to net out, have yourself a wonderful existence, not have to work too hard. Have a great coaching career. It can only go up from there, right? Once you establish that baseline, create your thermometer, at that, like 20 clients at $2,000 a month. Actually, that would be 10 clients at $2,000 a month. Actually, it would be $240,000. So now you double that again, you'd be close to $500,000. The bottom line, guys, is just create first principles. The goal here is to put coaching clients in your repertoire, get coaching them, get really good at it. All this other stuff is all fluff around the real goal. And the real goal is to make sure you're getting coaching clients. So that's what I'd say there, Road Dog. 10 clients, $2,000 a month, $240,000 a year. Great little business and cranking it. So there you go.
Beauty. Hey, I love this one. And so do you, because we've talked about this many a time before. So
what is it?
Get ready, folks. It's rabbit hole time. I'm thinking about getting an MBA. Would you recommend it? And go.
Okay. Well, with that introduction, no doubt everybody knows what's coming. Look, if you want to get an MBA, go for it, right? Like, what the hell? But remember, what's the goal here? I can tell you this, that when you have an MBA or you're a PhD and you put doctor before your name, this is horrific for coaching sales, okay? Question, why? What you do is you separate yourself. What you want your coaching client to be saying to themselves, if this idiot could pull this off and follow that simple system, imagine what I could do, right? That's what you want. Or if this idiot could pull it off, surely I could too. That's why I talk about failing grade 8 math. The last thing you want to do is put yourself out there as like super intelligent. As soon as you put doctor before your name, what you're doing is you're separating them. So they're going to say the exact opposite. So work for Dave, but this guy's got a PhD, right? Like I couldn't even, I don't even know how to spell PhD, right? Like how in the world am I ever going to manage that? So that is the exact opposite. So, but that being said, if you're the kind of person that, really needs those credentials, I have exactly 0. I got a high school diploma, which was a small miracle. I did go to college for a short period of time, and quite frankly, I got really good grades while I was there, but that was never going to last. The advice that my dad gave me before I went to college, he's like, my dad is a professional gambler, a great mentor, but again, not the guy that, accreditation is not something that he was too worried about, or the number of degrees that his son got. And he just said, look, go learn what you got to learn, man, and get the hell out of there. Because his opinion was that, like, I grew up in a small town. So my dad insisted on bringing me to the city for at least a year. And the reason he wanted to do that is because he knew that, like, when you're from a small town, you assume, it's the big city folks. You just feel like, the guys from the big city. When I say big city, I'm talking about a very small big city, because I was from a town of 5,000 people. It's where I grew up. I didn't even grow up there. I grew up in the country outside of that on an acreage. So he wanted me to grow up. He wanted me to live in the city for a period of time so that I could see that they weren't any better than we were. They were just different environment. And that is exactly, I can tell you, that is exactly what I learned. Whether or not he set me up for that by preempting it and telling me this is what I was going to see, I really can't remember. But my feelings of going to that school, so I went to, what's it called? Sir Winston Churchill. It's a school in Calgary. But it was like a school of 1,000 people, whereas my school was like a couple hundred, right? But anyway, so his opinion of university was the same, is that I had to go to college. I had to go there just to mingle with the others and do some of the classes and go through and get my grades and everything else, so that for the rest of my life, I would never feel inferior to people who had university and college degrees. But he said, look, if you go through and you graduate, high five. But just for the life of him, he couldn't see how that would be overly relevant and how I should spend 4 years in school learning that. So I'm giving you that as a platform to understand who you're listening to. If you need to go and get an MBA, and that's going to make you feel better about yourself, and not only better about yourself, but it's going to arm you with the skills that you feel like you need to go out there and crush it, then by all means do it. But my goodness, I would ask you, like, what is the goal, right? And the goal is to probably go make a couple $100,000 a year, raise a great family, have a great life. And do you need an MBA to do that? And the answer most definitely would be not. And by the way, you're going to spend 4 years in school, thereabouts, and it's going to cost you how much? And you're going to have to pay back that dough. And no doubt we know what's happening with, all that, right? Like, it costs you 100, you got debts of 100, 200, 300, even more than that, $300,000 that you're carrying into life. Like, oh my gosh, like, what a way to set somebody back, right? And that is tangible, and an MBA is kind of an intangible, right? Where what can it really do for you? So holy smokes. I don't know. I would just, the mistake that people make is that they run around, and again, I believe we talked about this last week, but this is so important. You talk about first principles, you talk about dialing down to the core principle. People come to me and say, Karl, is this a good idea? Will this idea work? This idea, that idea. I hear it all the time. I hear it every day. If I go to my inbox right now, I'm probably going to have somebody messaging me with an idea, right? Stupid way this is a horrific approach. What you do is you look for problems. Put your spidey sense, instead of having spidey senses out for ideas, put your spidey senses out for problems and then solve them. And this is how you build a big business. And by the way, the bigger the problem and the more people that have the problem, the bigger thing that you're going to be solving. So, and the more money you're ultimately going to make, and the bigger company you're going to be able to make, and the more people you're going to be able to employ. So would I spend 4 years doing an MBA? I would spend 4 years understanding a problem really, really well and getting stupidly good at solving it. That's what I'd be doing. So let's break it down, because again, I want to make sure, so if you were, rather than get an MBA, I would consider this like, just draw a line beside the page and go pros and cons, right? And have 2 pages, and one have get an MBA, and then one become a business coach and pick a niche, right? So basically, if you were a business coach, you want to get started. So like, rather than that, one, pick a niche. Okay, so my background was always mobile service-based business owners. Okay, so I got a franchising background in that. So mobile service-based companies. Think carpet cleaner, landscaper, cleaning company, etc. Mobile service-based, a consultant and a coach also falls into that. So mobile service-based business owners in Kelowna, let's assume that that's going to be the niche that I'm going to pick. Those are the types of business owners that I'm going to go and coach. When you're looking for your niche, there's 3 things you're looking for. Experience, so like you've got experience with something. 2, expertise, so like you're good at something. And then 3, passion. You love doing something, then you're going to be willing to work a little bit harder to move things out of the way. Be careful with this one, because a really good way, like, you start doing something you love, you're about to start hating what you used to love, right? I know guys, again, that play professional hockey, get paid millions of dollars, and they just can't be asked. Like, they don't want to go to the rink. They don't want to put on their gloves, shin pads, skates, or whatever, right? So anyways, but that being said, but if you do have a passion for it, I absolutely have a passion for business, and that's what I've fallen into, and I love it, and I'm a blessed man as a result, right? So it absolutely works, but just be cautious of it a little bit. It's not the end all be all, I guess is what I'm saying. So pick a niche. Instead of giving an MBA, right, or this is going to be on that second piece of paper, right? What would you do? Survey that niche for problems, right? So call mobile service-based companies in Kelowna and say, look, what are the 3 biggest challenges that you currently face? If you got the ability to do an online survey and drive a little bit of traffic, which can be pretty easy to do, and you could pay someone a small amount of money to be able to help you with that. But survey them for problems. Now you're looking, so their problems are going to be what? Staff retention, it's going to be systems in their company, definitely sales. They're going to want to know how to use the internet to drive traffic, right? But have a look at what the problems are that they're currently facing and try to find some trends, right? And then measure the size of the problem. Like, would they be willing to pay for that problem would be another question that I would ask, right? Then maybe learn the steps to solve the problem, sell them the solution. I guess you'd get better at it. And then really importantly, recruit talented people to join your team and ultimately build a business. So so should I get an MBA? So what I just defined is, okay, well, here's a little bit of a loose roadmap of building a coaching company, and just put, instead of, if you don't want to build a coaching company, you build something different, right? You'd follow a very similar track that I just outlined. But I think that you will find the right-hand page is not going to come with, you could start making money tomorrow. By the time it was over, like in 4 years' time, instead of having somebody sign a piece of paper and saying you're good at something, you would have a business and a team, and a very clearly defined problem that you were solving. So, yeah, and I hope that I'm giving some advice. And some of you listening, you've got kids and they're kind of thinking about it. I would, like my dad, I kind of laugh at the advice that he gave me. And by the way, he also mentioned picking up some girls, right? Again, I'm a young guy, at that stage, 18, 19 years old. He said, go meet some girls, go meet some fun people. He said, go to a different city. When you go to college in your city and when you go to college in a different city, there's a completely different experience. And I mean completely. And let's include better in there, at least for, the 98% of the population, maybe 2% for some reason. It might be better the other way, but that's the bottom line. I like the advice that my dad gave, or go and learn what you got to learn. And the skills, I went and I took accounting and I learned a lot in those classes. I took marketing. I learned a ton. I ended up getting a job as a result of my marketing professor in university college hired me to work for the school newspaper. So that worked out pretty well. But the bottom line is that I went there. I learned what I needed to learn. I ended up starting a business selling. I built a coupon book that sold to the university students. And frankly, I made so much money, it was crazy. And I ended up going from being the student to being the guy buying all the students beer on Friday and Saturday night. I got significantly more popular. Very, very quickly, but that's what I did, and that's the roadmap that I followed. So I don't know. What was I saying? I hope I'm listening to or there's some mums and dads listening to me right now that have got kids in and around that age, and I think that there's a lot to be said for following through and having the discipline of getting the degree for sure, but don't just assume that, right? Go to the pros and cons and weigh all this stuff up, and then decide the best route. And if your child has entrepreneurial instincts or you have entrepreneurial instincts, and you're the one looking for the MBA, I would highly encourage you to think about what I just said. And, an MBA, my gosh, just, maybe, but you'd struggle to convince me that it would be a good idea for anybody listening. I think go get the skills that you need to get. And you can pay online courses nowadays. Like there are so many online courses. If you want an MBA, you just go to, the membership site that my company puts out and just watch the 52 weeks, literally step by step, chronological order, watch it word for word, lays out a roadmap in 52 weeks on exactly what you need to do in order to crush it with the business. If you just watch those 52 weeks 3 or 4 times and then follow through on the loose steps that I just laid out for building a business, I think you could absolutely crush it. So Road Dog, my man, yeah, just I'm sure you knew where I was going with that one, but geez, getting an MBA It's just, and you said, and again, let's just where I started, you separate yourself a little bit, right? Is that what you want to do? And they see that you've got an MBA. They go, yeah, well, you can do it because you've got the MBA, right? And I know you worked really hard for these credentials and you don't want to hide them because that doesn't make a lot of sense. I get it. But I can just tell you that what I want people to listen to when they hear me, it's like, look, if this short idiot could pull it off, my gosh, surely I could come close, right? That's what I want them to be saying. The last thing that I want them to be saying is that I'm some kind of special. And of course it would work for me. That works totally against it. So that's what I'd say there, Road Dogg. The MBA, man. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, you are short. I do think that. That's a good point. And it's interesting to hear that your wife's out of town because I thought it was your daughter going down that water slide when I was driving by the other day. I guess it was you. Anyway.
By myself. I loaded that bad boy, man. I've been sliding down the kids' slide all by myself. It's been a hoot.
All right, Karl, can you close us out with just giving our listeners your one thing that they can do today from today's podcast?
The one thing, just look, first principles. All of this activity, everything that you're looking to do, the goal is what? And the goal is to get yourself to 10 clients at $2,000 a month, $240,000 a year. Kick-ass business. If you double that, if you have 20, you just double that number of 240 and look what you end up with. And you're doing really good. So social media, MBA, squeeze pages, everything, and just so many of the questions that we get, that we have got and we'll get in the future and we'll get after this one. It just comes back to what? And that's you want to get coaching clients. So make sure that you picture it like a funnel where you're coming down and everything's leaded towards it. And by the way, there's no such thing as a funnel, by the way. It's a series of cliffs. So like when I drive traffic to the squeeze page, you put your email address in or don't. So you fall off or you don't, right? So this whole funnel thing intimates that everybody just slides down and it's a big party and it's so amazing. That's not the way it works. It's a series of cliffs. So make sure, just from a psychological point of view, make sure you manage your psychology, that it's just not so simple to throw them in your funnel and magically, magic happens. It's a series of cliffs and you need them to keep falling off. So that's what I'd say, bud. Bring it back to getting those coaching clients and earning a good income and building a good coaching career, not getting likes, shares, and comments and everything else on social media. That's just a shot of dopamine that is unnecessary, frankly. So that's my last bit of advice there, brother.
Beauty. Love it. All right, everybody. Thanks again for tuning in to another great episode of Business Coaching Secrets with the man at the top of the hill, my boy King Karl. And if you're not getting Karl's daily emails or you want more information on how to build your coaching company, visit focused.com and subscribe today. Also, if you enjoyed this podcast, please share with an existing coach or someone you think would make a great coach. Someone loves Tony Robbins or a great salesperson or a highly motivated type. And of course, we'd appreciate if you'd rate this episode, as we know that iTunes and Spotify give an insane amount of weight towards reviews. So please leave us a review if you like what you heard. And well, that's it for another week, everybody. Remember, folks, progress equals happiness.
Karl Bryan built Profit Acceleration Software 2.0 to train business coaches how to find any small business owner more than $100,000 in 45 minutes without them spending an extra dollar on marketing or advertising. This becomes a business coach's superpower. So as a business coach, you'll never again have to worry about working with business owners that can't afford your high-end coaching fees. Check us out at focused.com.